Hi everybody, I'm Betsy, and today we are making rhubarb bars from one of our cookbooks made of just a few years back to celebrate our 50 years. So with the rhubarb bars we're making today, it's a nice crust with like a rhubarb filling on top. So it's a two-step process. These bars remind me exactly of the ones my mom and grandma made growing up. So this reminds me of summer, that sweet tartness I love. What I love about this crust recipe is it's unique because it has powdered sugar. Not a lot of crusts have that, but it provides a nice, fluffy, sweet taste. And we're adding 5 tablespoons. I love butter. I think it makes every pie crust and cookies just better. And this is a fun interactive part if you have kids at home or just for yourself to wind down and do a little sensory activity. I love the directions. It just says mix and press into a 9x13 pan. When I was looking at this recipe today, I was reflecting on how today when you look up a recipe there's so many steps and directions, but in these older cookbooks it's very matter-of-factly of you just mix it. And to me that reminds me of my mom and grandma's way of cooking actually, is to just use your hands and do it the old-fashioned way. All right, we're gonna butter our pan so it doesn't stick. So I like to coat it really well because it's always disappointing when you try to take a bar or a piece of pie out and it cracks on you. So we like to hydrate the pan really well all the way around. All right, let's press it in. Some people just use their fingers like I am. You could use like a measuring cup. Let's try that and spread it around and flatten it. Oh yeah, that's nice. Okay, we're gonna pop these in the oven for 15 minutes at 350 degrees. Next, we're going to need 4 cups of rhubarb. This is a very nice, healthy stock, so I'm going to cut it up into sections and then cut it in half. The recipe says to cut it finely, so to me that just means bite-sized pieces. So depending on the size of your stock, you'll have to cut accordingly. A little rhubarb goes a long ways. So I think we will have plenty here. I love picking rhubarb when it has this nice red tint to it. It's okay to have rhubarb with green on it. To me, it's has a little sour kick to it, but I enjoy that a lot. So next we make the custard filling, and that's what I love best about this bar actually. It's so light and fluffy. So first we're going to crack 3 eggs. Yet again, I love this recipe because it has very little instructions, and when you look up recipes nowadays it seems to always be like really overly complicated. This recipe says to not beat the eggs until the final process, so we're just cracking for now and then adding all the ingredients. I would add the sugar, cornstarch, and eggs together and then the rhubarb last because the rhubarb might make it hard to stir. So I just added 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 3 eggs, and 1.5 cups of sugar. And now we're gonna mix. And it just says mix well. So we're gonna just mix it until we feel good about it. I like to mix it until it's almost a pudding consistency to make sure the baking powder is evenly distributed for the rise while it's baking. That is beautiful. I love the colors, and that consistency is really nice for baking. And now we're gonna check on the bars in the oven, just the crust, and see if it's done. Oh, they're perfect. You wanna get this little golden brown consistency before the next step. I love a shortcake pie crust type of biscuit flavor or scent, and that's what it smells like. It's very buttery and lovely. And we'll want to make sure we get all of the custard out because that hydrates the rhubarb. Yum. Okay. Now we put it back in the oven for 45 minutes. I'm so excited to eat these. Okay, they're all done. I wish you could smell how good this smells. So with a custard bar, it's a little different of what I like to do is I take a fork and I poke somewhere in the middle and kind of wiggle it around. And if you don't see it kind of soupy or liquidy, it's ready to go, because right now we want it to set for like 5 to 10 minutes before you cut it, so the custard really binds together and creates that layer of, we have the shortbread pie crust layer and then the custard layer, and then the rhubarb all kind of floats to the top. And you don't want to burn your rhubarb, so make sure you're keeping an eye on the oven that way too, so you don't burn any of it. But we're gonna let this chill for a minute, and then we'll come back and cut it. Perfect. That's Iowa right there. That is an Iowa rhubarb bar. That takes me back, probably will take some of you back, to what my grandma made. This is fantastic. What I'm tasting first is that custard, and then the shortbread crust is really good. And the rhubarb is very sweet. Despite how green it was, I was expecting this to be a little more sour, but it's a very sweet rhubarb. You wouldn't need to add any more sugar or even strawberries to make this really good. This is gonna be my new go-to recipe, I think. So thanks for following along. We'll post the recipe. We hope you enjoyed it, and have a happy spring. Bye. Yum.